Hi, can you hear me? Fantastic. Okay, we're running a bit late, but that's fine. First of all, bienvenue, welcome. Welcome to everyone to this event. I hope you made it safely to Brussels because I've heard there've been troubles with transport, but we're happy to have you to the final event of eSSIF-Lab, hashtag eSSIF-Lab. My name is Thomas Chamiadila. I work for a company that's called Blue Morpho, based in Paris, France. And Blue Morpho is one of the organizing members of the consortium that's been running eSSIF-Lab for the past 3 years, since November 2019. Now, I know the topic of SSI can be complicated, but really the objective for today is the human aspect. In total, 58 projects have gone through eSSIF-Lab. That means 58 achievements from all across Europe, some that we'll see today. And today, we want to celebrate the achievements. So can I ask you all to start clapping for the 58 companies that have made it through? Okay, I'm going to run you through the program quickly. So we were supposed to start at 11:30, but we're running a bit late, but we'll manage. To begin, Jorge Gassos will open the event, followed by Oscar van Deventer and Ruud Bartmans from TNO, who will talk about eSSIF-Lab and what the program's about. After that, there will be product demos and business pitches that you'll see. 4 companies will pitch in the morning, and 5 companies will pitch in the afternoon. And that will be exciting. After that, we'll have a keynote speech by Anil John, who's come here from the United States. And then we'll have lunch. For now, I don't know what's for lunch, but I'm sure it'll be delicious. After that, there will be the other 5 product demos and pitches that you'll see. And then a roundtable by 3 esteemed guests that will be with us today. And then we'll end the day with an award ceremony and networking. Throughout the event, feel free to tweet, post on LinkedIn, and communicate. Again, the hashtag is eSSIF-Lab Final Event. Use that. And something I wanted to say is, you might have noticed that this area, the place, La Tricoterie, is a bit of a strange, unusual place. It used to be a factory that produced furniture and chairs and etc. And in 2010, there was a group of artists that decided that they wanted to create a place, a cultural space for people to meet and create links. Hence the link factory that you might have seen throughout. The objective of today is exactly that, to create links, to interact, to discuss. So don't hesitate to ask questions, to meet with some of the companies that are pitching, meet with the speakers, talk to each other. We're here for that, and we encourage you to do it. If you need Wi-Fi, there are Wi-Fi stations there's a sign with the Wi-Fi password and code at the back, and also in the networking area. And I think that's it for my introduction. I would like to welcome on stage Jorge Gassos, who is eSSIF-Lab's project officer. On to you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm very happy to be here in this closing event from eSSIF-Lab, but the first thing I have to say is that this project was managed by my colleagues, Loretta and Sturgis, and I just joined very recently, so I don't have all the details about the project. On the other hand, I've been exposed to the project in the last years, so in different contexts in the collaboration with Canada, not only to the project, but also to the sub-grantees that were developing the technologies. And I have to say that I was always impressed myself, but also in the meetings with Digit, etc. All the feedback we got was always excellent of the quality of the results that were coming out of this project. Now, in this brief introduction, I just want to put this project in the context of the Next Generation Internet Initiative that we are having. So this is a part of a larger number of projects that we are financing in the past through the Horizon 2020 program of research Research of the European Commission, and in this moment through Horizon Europe. So what we are doing, because we are doing research, we are doing technology development, and this we are covering. There are some colleagues that are working on the part of the networks, on some colleagues that are working in the part of IoT. So what we are doing is focusing on areas like obviously digital identities, or the management of personal data, also the centralized technologies, blockchain, internet architectures. So we have a wide range of activities that we are supporting. But we are focusing on technology research, and we are supporting quite strongly open source developments. That doesn't mean that everything that is developed, it has to be open source, and in your project there are many things that are not, but we are moving more and more towards support of open source developers, developments in this area. The second thing that we are trying to do is to link, because the Commission is a political organization, we are trying somehow to link the activities that we are doing to policy developments that are happening in the Commission. So for example, in your area, there is all this eIDAS regulation. That doesn't mean, you are doing technology development, you are doing advanced things because you are doing research. So that doesn't mean that automatically the things that you will do will be automatically implemented, or that we will ask you to implement the things that are needed for eIDAS. But we are trying to make the links, and we have trying to put the people in contact with our colleagues who are developing the policy, in order that there is somehow an exchange that can influence the developments that are happening there. And we are doing this for the different policies in the different areas that we are doing. Another characteristic of our program that is quite unique in the research program of the Commission, which is normally targeting universities, research centers, industry. So these are large projects with a small number of partners who then develop in 3 years a technology roadmap for a certain area. In this case, we did something unique here, and it was trying to engage open source developers, startups, individual researchers in the developments, because we thought that in internet, of course, there are large companies that are doing very important development, but there are also a lot of activities that are coming bottom up, and there was a strong potential to work with these communities. So we have been working with you and in the wider range. We are supporting a lot of individual open source developers, individual startups, individual researchers to develop this. And on this, what we did, because we are a bureaucratic organization with very heavy administrative procedures, we use this cascading grant funding that allows, with small proposals and a quite dynamic procedure, to remove to a certain extent, I don't know what you will think about this, but all this red tape, and facilitate the participation on this. And we are trying to support short projects with a focus to develop some solutions that can be put in practice in the short term. So this is a quick overview of what we are doing. We have been funding in this moment up to more than 1,000 third parties, sub-grantees, so this is quite a lot. Some of the grants are very small. Sometimes we give grants of 10,000, 20,000 euros to an open source developer to develop some technologies. But so we have a very wide range of activities, but we are getting quite interesting results, and we are planning to continue on this. And just to close my quick presentation, I wanted to talk about the future, okay? So obviously now you have developed not only technologies, but you also have developed a community that this also has a value by itself. Now, I want to be honest with you, in this moment, in the short term, we don't have a call for a project on digital identities like eSSIF-Lab. Okay, this may happen in the future or not, we don't know, but in the immediate term, this is not going to happen. On the other hand, there are two things that where this can continue. We are going to have projects that are horizontal, okay, that are going to cover all the different technologies. So there is the possibility of participating and presenting proposals. Then you will have to be to see the calls, but there will be some possibilities to presenting individual proposals and try there. We are also going to have the projects for collaboration with the US and Canada. And again, this project is horizontal, but there could be also opportunities for your community to present individual proposals, and maybe some of you may be successful and maybe able to continue on this. The question with that is that the community will not continue, because I mean the funding is not going to be very large. So some of you may be successful, but this sense of community. So one thing that will be important is to try to see how this can continue. We will try to help you to support. We have a project that is taking care of the outreach, that is putting in place communication, a lot of things. So we can ask the project to continue supporting you if you have any need. We can also see from our side to try to keep the contact with our colleagues in AI, in Digit, etc., so that the activities continue in the future. This is always challenging, okay, because once there is not the central project, this may have some risk, but let's try together to explore what we can do in the future on this. So with this, I just want to finish this quick presentation. I wanted to thank you to the project, but also to all the subgrantees for the excellent work that you have done. And I'm looking forward to see all the results that are going to happen during the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jorge, for that speech. Right, I'd like to call on Ruth Bartmans and Oscar from Deventer to give us an introduction about, here's a mic.
Thank you.
About eSSIF-Lab and the project.
It is
itself.
working, right?
Yeah. There should be another one. Oscar, Ruth, on to you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ruud Baartmans. My name is Ruud Baartmans. I'm the project coordinator of eSSIF-Lab, whereas Oscar van Deventer is the scientific coordinator. I think when we started to think about this project, it was already about 4 years ago. I was not an SSI expert. And even after 38 months of eSSIF-Lab, I regard myself still not as an expert. The project started in November 2019. After a few months, COVID came. So this has been an online project, a project with online meetings. Mostly, we had our physical consortium meeting in The Hague in November. And we had the RWOT last one was September, and those were the 2 events we had. This is the first and also final event of eSSIF-Lab where we can meet you. And it's really nice to meet you now in person. We have a family of about 58 children. I call them. I remember their names. Sometimes I remember their projects and their organizations, but it's a big family, I could say. So now I will hand over to Oscar, and you will explain a bit about our family members. Oscar.
Yes, and it's so great to be here at the first and final event of eSSIF-Lab. But yeah, great to meet you all in person. And let's start with a little bit of history. Of course, all the eSSIF-Lab subgrantees know this already. So I'm also telling this to the camera, to the people from the outside that are viewing here. It was in 2009 that we had a meeting with Olivier Bringer of the European Commission. And he explained to me again NGI and the purpose of NGI. And he explicitly stated, we don't want to create the next unicorn big tech company. We want to create ecosystems. We want to make sure that the market grows of a lot of companies that are working together, that are building some things, that are competing with each other, that are collaborating. So the word ecosystem, Jorge already introduced it. You will hear it a lot today. So the method that we have been using to do this ecosystem formation is first, we had 3 categories of subgrantees. And we had, first of all, the infrastructure oriented subgrantees, and their task was to create open source components that were useful to Europe, to the world. Then we had the business-oriented subgrantees, where the business was the identity business. So turning this tooling into products, into generic products that again would be useful. But the difference here is that they make actually business from them. And then the third category and the final category is those business-oriented subgrantees that apply it to a sector, which could be education, which could be the financial sector, which could be the health sector, and many other sectors. So as you can see from the spiderweb diagram, each of the categories of subgrantees brought something in and was taking something out. So one of the requirements to our winners is that tell us how you are going to contribute to this connection. What components are you going to use of the others? How are you going to collaborate with the others? How are you going to contribute to standards? How are you going to implement standards, to interop test standards? So to make sure that everything connects. So just to give you a few numbers, Europe likes numbers. So we have more than 100 recognizable contributions to standards and a lot of different standards organizations like W3C, which is more formal standardization, but also pre-standardization in this decentralized identity foundation, OpenID Connect, etc. So a lot of work on standardization, interoperability, lot of open source components. Go to the eSSIF-Lab website, download the brochure and see how many things are there, but also more than 20 commercial implementations where things come together and where things become a business. And Blue Morpho has been doing the business mentoring in this program, where they have been teaching the startups to make the business pitches, how bringing them in contact with the investors, whereas GRNet and TNO, we have been focusing on the infrastructure part, the open source, the quality of the code, the nature of the code, and of course, all managing the program as a whole. So we already mentioned the 58 family members. Let's start with family member number 1. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going to tell them all of them one at a time, but yeah, we have a lot of champions. So click. Next slide, please. Click. Okay, this is getting exciting. Which of the, well, let me just start mentioning some while we're skipping through this. One of the eSSIF-Lab subgrantees that I wanted to mention is FNM UK. We know all FNM and the history. They have already been in a lot of takeovers, so they have had their commercial, there they are, commercial things, but they provided an open source implementation of enterprise quality self-sovereign identity. And also they have been instrumental with the ARIAS interop profile, providing, oh, by the way, the slides will be available afterward. Feel free to make photos, tweet them, everything fine, nothing confidential, but the slides will be there for you. So yeah, they have been doing the interop testing. Gattaca should be mentioned here. they came up with the concept of the verifier universal interface. The idea that not each verifier needs to have its own system integration with all the different wallets, but that there is a uniformation in the interface. And they have managed to get together 12 subgrantees plus TNO, made 3 different interface specifications, and they donated them to the Decentralized Identity Foundation, where they are further developed. So that's an amazing achievement. Spherion has done the work in the OpenID Connect, both making implementations, but also all the associated interop testing, promoting, etc. Mopso, I want to mention because of the application of SSI in the Know Your Customer processes, which we all know is getting more and more bureaucratic. True, from the UK, the problem of doctors moving from one hospital to another, which takes ages, and all the checking of the certificates that can be sped up. Click. This is fun. That's well, let me tell you about the NGI program. As you know, and after me, there will be, yes. Blockzone, I'd like to mention because they have applied the SSI technology in the domain of telecommunication. When you get a call from your bank, is it your bank? When you're calling your bank, do they know that you are the real customer? They implemented SSI for that purpose. Danubetech, they have done so much grunt work at the lower layers, the DIT resolution, and all the associated standards in W3C and DIF. The AEDAS bridge by validated ID that connects the high level of trust authentication of AEDAS with the world of SSI from the train trust infrastructure. So there's a signature on the verifiable credential. Can I trust that signature? Igrantio, the automated data agreement. Watch, there's a click coming up. Automatic data agreements, which is, by the way, one of the standards that was part of the verifier universal interface by Gattaca again. So yeah, the click still doesn't work. So next slide, please.